Welcome back to the Eric Crown Crypto channel, wishing you a happy daily start to this very early Wednesday morning as we get prepared to follow up on yesterday's short-term time frame analysis and then throw that into the higher-term time frames. Yesterday, we were looking at a potential 4-hour HPGR setup that was going to align with a very high probability of a bounce if Bitcoin essentially traded sideways for the next 24 hours, which leads us exactly to where we're at right now. And what do you know? Bitcoin actually bouncing, which is, I suppose, a good sign on top of that. Anyways, I suspect without further ado, it would be wise to just jump right on into the actual analysis of the day and start off right on over here with that 4-hour setup. So in this case, we're actually be referencing CME Exchange, and we actually saw a slew of closures below the range lows, that blue 50% of historical return range lows that my cursor is currently on right now, starting actually on Monday. And that obviously initiates the next condition where we can then cross-check for a decline in volatility, close of a closure for the moving average represented by the BBWP indicator right here. That happened officially actually on Monday, so I completely missed this yesterday. This one was actually already active, although it did fire off again, to be fair, in the early morning hours, it looks like. Anyways, more importantly, and to the point here, we can see that if we bring up if I get rid of this, and then we bring up our strategy tester, we can see that that does imply a higher probability of a bounce in this case, about 73%, in fact, if we were to go back test the last 3 to 4 year period. And more importantly, or maybe just as important, we can also get an average amount of, the average expectation for what we do see as far as a trade takes in terms of how long it can, take to close, which is 18. And then also, if we go to the performance summary here, we can also get the average winning trade as well, which in this case, we see that it's just, can you actually see that right there? Yeah, just around 4% with a max of about 7% or 7.5%. So somewhere between about 4 to 7%. Is probably what we're looking at. And thus far, what have we seen? Well, thus far from actual from actual entry there, or from actual setup to where we're currently at, it would be about a little bit less than 2.5%. 4% puts you, or basically the average puts you at about $28,000. Keep that number in the back of your mind because that's going to pop up a little bit later. Again, that would be the average. And then of course, if we go for the max, or what typically is the max on this one, 7 to 7.5% puts Bitcoin basically back around its current highs. That's just under $29,000. Anyways, the reason why this is relevant is twofold. Well, one, because we do have a 5-day closure coming up later today, and then also a weekly closure for CME coming up on Friday. And both of these have major implication with price action here. One of them is going to maybe be more relevant than the other. Obviously, that'd be the 5-day coming in here pretty damn hot later this Wednesday. But here's the thing: when we consider the average number of bars and trades at 18. And that would be both for the wins and the losses, to be fair. That would actually be taking us all the way out till when? Till Thursday, basically, mid-Thursday, at least for my current time zone here. So ultimately, what would that imply? That would imply that if this does play out, Bitcoin will have a chance to do something spectacular, something important on the 5-day time frame and the weekly as well. What is that? Might you be asking? Well, the 5-day time frame over here for CME is actually going to be closing tonight, and it's going to have a chance potentially to close above the mean band. Again, that mean band, the same mean band that's been rejecting it since March of 2022, meaning that Bitcoin ain't been above it since that time, since like more than a year now, closing above it, I should say. And then more importantly, while we don't necessarily have the history on this particular chart, because CME has only been going around since 2017, or I guess late 2017 or early 2018. We can go over here to spot price action to kind of prove the point. And basically, anytime that we have seen a closure above the mean band after the Gaussian channel has turned red, Bitcoin's basically gotten a free ride to the top side of the of that channel there. So you can see many examples throughout the full history of Bitcoin, obviously. And if we go back to our current one, well, if Bitcoin were to close above the mean band on CME, that would be a closure above 28,200 or so. So, again, putting those numbers together, that would be a potential based off of the current setup that we have going on. And then 2, if that were to happen, very likely Bitcoin gets a free ride somewhere around 32 to 34,000 bucks. I mean, it always has in the past. Doesn't mean that it always will in the future, but I like the probabilities, aligned with that particular setup. Now, if we take that one step further to the weekly time frame, which for CME is not closing today, but it will be on Friday, so a little bit after that Thursday like average, if you will, you can see that it has a lot of an easier condition to potentially close above that mean band on the weekly here. And that is currently coming in around 27,630, which Bitcoin's like $35 below as of this exact moment. Now, of course, a lot can happen in about 2.5 days of trading, obviously, but you can see that if these things do fall through, started off first with that 4-hour setup, then you could see the potential downstream effects of it closing above here. And then again, same thing, tops out of the Gaussian channel. Where is it? It's about just under, it's around 32 to 33,000 bucks. So we do have several points of confluence coming in around those low 30,000s if Bitcoin were to start to close above these regions, very specifically. And we're probably looking at that, maybe within like the next month to month and a half price action, sometime in, late April, mid-May, something like that would kind of make sense. Anyways, moving on to the last thing of the day, perhaps, as I do want to keep this video a little bit on the shorter side, we can go back and reference stochastic momentum. So yesterday we were looking at short term and saying, hey, look, if Bitcoin is going to break down, it probably happens today. If Bitcoin fails to break down today, like today meaning yesterday, which was Tuesday, or is it Tuesday? What day is it? I actually don't know. It's the 29th, whatever the fuck that means. But more importantly, yesterday, whatever day that was, doesn't matter what day it was, doesn't matter what the fucking name is. More importantly is that we were starting to see a lot of things align with downside pressure. So if things were to not break down in that 24-hour period, well, naturally these sort of setups would emerge, and that's kind of what we're experiencing right now. Anyways, on the daily right here, you can see that daily stochastic momentum on CME will actually turn back up with a closure above 27,600. Bitcoin's actually trading on CME above that right now by $70. I mean, it ain't much, but it is above it for what it's worth. 12-hour time frame is actually still going to be showing downside pressure as long as Bitcoin's below 28,420. Great number right there. But more importantly, again, the longer that this kind of remains with its downside posturing, while Bitcoin is more or less playing out a range on the medium and higher term timeframes, well, it's just going to be a bullish reset. This one probably going to take at least another 3 days, however, 2 to 3 days, I'd say. 6-hour time frame already popping back up and will be showing upside pressure as long as Bitcoin's above 26,900 on a closing basis. Right now, trading $700 above that basically. 4-hour time frame also vertical above 26,850, and the hourly is probably flippy floppy here as usual, but this one is also fucking to the moon erect, 27,430 going to be the magical number right there. So very, very short term probably does try for a little bit of a sideways consolidation yet again, but ultimately you can see that one thing leads to the next. Start off with the 4-hour time frame over here, lead into the potential 5-day today. That would be actually very, very nice for boo laws. And then I think what's more reasonable is maybe waiting for the weekly on Friday, obviously. Of course, this all comes with an invalidation. It's quite similar to before, actually, in the sense that it would need to be a closure below the current low side range at about 26,500 on any sort of a higher term time frame. If you're on a 4-hour time frame, could probably move that down to like 26,100 or so. At that point, that's where I start to look at this as a major trap, with price action back down below 25,000 bucks and maybe lower than that over time as well. But until then, you're not really gonna hear me change my tune, as I've been saying for the past for quite some time now, but in this more recent range since about, a couple weeks ago, or sorry, about 10 days ago. Anyways, yes, I think that's a good place for me to be leaving off on this particular video. I want to once again remind myself to talk about the Bybit promotion going on, as they're offering 0% on maker fees for derivative contract orders. And then also you can get the Jewel Light for free for the first 30 days. However, that does come with a major contingency. I don't know if that's the right terminology right there, but you have to trade 100,000 in total volume, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually nothing. I mean, look, like most people are trading, a few Bitcoin size per position. Like you're going to have that done in one trade, open and close, most likely. But if you're super new, then probably not. All right, cool. So I will leave off on that note. I want to be wishing you the best as always. Take care, much love, and see you hopefully soon.